Alright, so I'm going to do a couple tests with different phase blades and different other weapons to test how the Berserk is affected by your offhand weapons. So first I'm going to start with this Breath of the Dying, which is probably the fastest phase blade that you're going to use within reason, unless you were using one with 6 shell runes in it, which would kind of be pointless because it wouldn't have any enhanced damage or anything really. So this is the fastest possible Berserk swing that you can get in the game. Wouldn't matter if I had a Fanaticism aura or anything. Fastest possible Berserk that you can possibly get. Actually, hold on. Just to be sure. Hold on. Just to be 100%. Now we've got 160% increased attack speed. So as we can see, that's the very fastest possible swing. If I swap these around, well, I have so much IAS on right now. But whether we swap them around, whether I have another weapon in the hand or not, we're gonna have max speed. So now if I was to go put Alibaba on the offhand, same speed. Now let's test it with the shield. I'm going to test it with this shield as well as a different shield. Test it without the armor. Test it without that, so I have less. So that's a lower IAS breakpoint right there. But it doesn't appear to be getting affected by the offhand. Let's see with the other shield though. We'll test it with Grief next, because Grief has 40 IAS. Last Wish will be a good example for having no IAS on it though. Alright, so the shield doesn't make a difference. Let's do Alibaba with Last Wish. So that's this with nothing.
Impossible.
That's definitely slower when it's two different weapon types. It's definitely slower when it's two different weapon types. So you have to have the increased attack speed to overcome the slower weapon. Now I'm going to test it with my Limb Crystal Sword. I'm going to test it with Grief. I'm going to do Grief and then Last Wish, because most people are never going to make Breath of the Dying in a phase blade. So I'll test it with these two. I'll just for the sake of being realistic in this situation, I'll throw the wealth armor on, which I'll be using for doing gold finding runs. So that's definitely not max IAS. Wow, so yeah, it does. It is affected by the slower base weapon type. But not only that, let me see. Let me get a phase blade that has no IAS on it, another one in the offhand, to see if it's getting affected by the base weapon type or if it's getting affected by IAS. So it's getting affected by both because the base weapon type essentially is IAS in a different manner, because each base has a set increased attack, or a set attack speed. So it definitely is affected by that. So technically, yeah, you could have a faster. If this was in a phase blade, I would be attacking faster. But let me try it with grief. So with grief, let's see. Okay, so it's actually not making a difference. Not making a difference if I'm using grief. But then if I don't have that, but then I'd have to throw gold wrap on to see if that. So there's a lot of little factors at play here. Yeah, so if you were wearing chance guards, this, that, but if you have oh man, so many variables to account for. Because I need to have I don't know why I just made a portal right there. I need to throw High Lords on. I gotta get High Lords off of my other character. Because High Lords is the difference maker. Let me see. Make sure I'm not leaving any ridiculously expensive items on the ground somewhere. Okay. Don't want to leave the lobby and have Last Wish laying on the floor or something. Let me see. Who has my High Lords? I think he has. Pretty sure he has my High Lords. So I like to use that Atma Scarab with that Breath of the Dying phase blade. Because I get a lot more out of Atmos than I do out of Deadly Strike. Because I don't need the IAS from High Lords and I don't need the plus the skills. Alright. Also, you have to keep in mind that I do have two 15 IAS jewels in my IK helm that I use for gold finding, so some people are not going to have that. Probably most people aren't going to have that. So let's throw the chance guards on. Yeah, that's max Berserk speed with all my gold finding stuff. So the 10 base speed or whatever the difference between Crystal Sword to Phase Blade actually doesn't make a difference for this particular build. It's still reaching max IAS on the Berserk. And I think that might honestly just be because I'm 33% or higher IAS on the Phase Blade. I don't think that you could have a 30 IAS Grief and get the same result. You would have to either wear different gloves, or you would have to have this in a Phase Blade to make up for the difference in the Grief. I do know 34 IAS is what you need on your Grief in order to have maximum whirlwind speed. So yeah, definitely does make a difference, but then it's all dependent on the rest of your gear. So in short, the Berserk speed is affected by your offhand, but only if the offhand is slower than the main hand. And let me test one more time just to see if it's so it's only gonna affect it if it's a slower base weapon type. Not if the offhand doesn't have IAS on it. If the offhand doesn't have IAS, it's not gonna affect it. But if the offhand, like if you're using the Alibaba, you're not gonna get quite as fast as if you were using something like this, because the Alibabas are really slow attack speed. That's why usually when I'm using the Alibaba for gold finding, I usually put it on my offhand, not my offhand, but on swap, and I usually have a heart carver in the other hand because I didn't invest any stats into find item. But I throw that on the offhand with the Alibaba, and then I Berserk with Grief, and then I put this Limb Crystal Sword on the offhand. I really just did this because this sits in my inventory most of the time, and I wanted an ethereal sword just for the hell of it. It doesn't really serve any utility purposes, and if anything, it forces me to have to wear this, because if I was to have Limb Crystal Sword and I go here, max Berserk, then at the moment I take off the helm, so if I wanted a shammed Shaco or something, then I would not be able to do this without having a Phase Blade. But then I think for having a shield, let's test it with the shield with this setup. Oh shit. Let me put the gold wrap on. I can't even do that. Alright, so I don't have that 10 IAS. So the shield's not going to affect it. So I think if the shield makes it seem like the Berserk is going slower, I think the shield, the animation of the Berserk and the shield may be clashing. So it may have something to do with the block rate. The block might be interrupting the attacks or something like that. But yeah, thanks for watching. I just wanted to do a test. I got a request to test this out, and you were right. The offhand does affect it in the instance that the offhand is a different base type. So a Crystal Sword does make your weapon swing slower. Crystal Sword will make your weapon swing slower, so you have to overcompensate by putting a have to overcompensate by putting 2 IAS jewels in the IK helm. But if you wanted, personally I always leave cannot be frozen on my ring because I like the extra attack rating, and most of the time when I'm berserking enemies for like a quick run to go grab some gold from Travancore, very few of the corpses wind up shattering, so that's why I don't really bother with my sham, with the Shaco with the sham rune in it. I usually just leave that on this character, and I actually don't use grief on him very often. Sometimes if I'm gonna jump into like public lobbies on higher than players 1, then I'll use something other than this. But aside from that, he's got 573 magic find, and that's before he even puts on Enigma. So let me see with Enigma on. Let me see what his and it's really only about 16 milliseconds slower on the Berserk, even using that death, compared to using grief on him. Let me see. What was that? Oh, I was coming to get this. Good thing I got grief in my inventory as well. Okay, so with everything I got 655 magic find. So I need to upgrade some of these 6s to 7s, some of these 5s. I only have a couple more 4s. I don't think I have any 3s in the inventory. 655, that's not bad. Could get some better war travs. I got a sham Shaco, High Lords, Isted Phase Blade. So I'll put grief on the main hand and then showcase the difference. So that's max berserk speed. And I want to say that's 2 breakpoints below it. That's definitely not 1 breakpoint below. This is 1 breakpoint below. That's 1 breakpoint below. And that's max berserk breakpoint right there. No matter what other gear that you could possibly put on him, even if you have a faith mercenary, this is the fastest berserk's gonna go. So definitely having grief on this guy keeps him alive a whole lot better, especially in like players 3, players 4 and on, in public lobbies if I want to jump in. But I haven't been honestly using this player very much, which is kind of crazy because he's got such good magic find. I maybe need to do some runs with him, and I'm gonna make some videos soon showing the different items that I've found recently, like my best items, and it's only gonna be like top tier level items like BK ring, really like steel carapace, other stuff like that I found recently. Only like top really rare items. So I'm kind of taking my time to put that video out because I need to find some more of those same level items and runes and stuff before I drop a video about that. But yeah, thank you for watching the video, everybody, and have a great day.